Guys, about 6 weeks ago, I started an experiment in my largely crappy Kikuyu lawn. As you see behind me, there's a bunch of Kikuyu, some weeds, a little bit of mixed Bermuda, and maybe some fescue mixed in back there. It's mostly Kikuyu grass. Historically speaking, I don't have experience with Kikuyu grass outside of researching it through, university publications and just general online research. But over the past 6 weeks, I've done some actual hands-on experimentation here in the backyard that I want to share with you today. The reason I'm sharing it with you today, even though it's slightly premature, is because I am tired of waiting. I need to actually take some action in the backyard, so I got to cut this experiment slightly short now that I have findings that I can trust. At least I feel like I can trust them. I'm going to be doing a lot of digging back there. I'm going to be putting down some grass seed, putting down some herbicides, things like that. So right now, this is what I'm going to call it. 6 weeks in. Take a look. All right, as you see back here, most of the green that you see is Kikuyu with a little bit of fescue. 6 weeks ago, everything was roughly a foot tall, maybe even taller in certain areas. Now, as I come down, this little spot right here, what you're seeing right here is the low spot in the lawn. We've had a couple good heavy rains over the past month and a half, and there's always water pooling here on the edge. So that's probably a French drain project in the future is going to happen here. But what you're going to see here is we've got some Kikuyu grass that is vibrant right there, nice and short stuff. And over here, it's not as short. Now, here's the difference here. When we moved in, let me pan back, kind of get the shadow out of the way. When we moved in, everything kind of in this area was probably more than a foot tall, and that's because the sprinklers are hitting, everything drains down that way, everything was up. Now, this square, I decided as an experiment I would cut it down all the way to the dirt. So what I did is I took the mower over it on the highest setting, bagged it, removed the stuff, and then brought the mower down all the way to the lowest setting. And then I went and I pulled the reel mower out and I mowed that down to the lowest setting on my reel mower. Then I used my electric dethatcher to score the surface. Then I went back over it with the reel mower. I've been going over this reel mower every few days for the past 6 weeks. I have not added any supplemental fertilizer, and I've only done minimal watering. Now, right here, where it's gotten more water because of rains, we're talking, there's the downspout, comes down here, everything up here on the patio drops here, and then it pools. So everything that's gotten a lot of water because of natural rain is really coming back pretty nice. Now, this is super duper short because I've been maintaining it on the shortest possible setting on my reel mower. This is nice. Now, there's still a couple of these like really gangly, annoying stolons that are very woody, and I might come in here with hand clippers and trim them off to make this pleasant to the foot, because that hurts just on my hand, let alone a bare foot. That would really not feel good at all. Over here where the stolons are mostly gone, it feels really nice on the hand. So if I was walking on that barefoot, that'd be pretty nice. I'm going to let that grow back a little bit higher over the next month or two, and that's going to be a really nice area. Now, over here where it hasn't gotten a lot of extra water, we're doing very minimal irrigation. You've still got some green starting to come back. I think in time, all of this area is going to look just as nice as over here. But it is certainly going to take some time, considering the fact that I'm not fertilizing it or giving it hardly any extra water. We're doing very minimal irrigation right now because it's December, and who cares? This is a cruddy lawn. So I got to dig up and do irrigation lines. There's no reason to be doing a lot of irrigation or fertilization at this point. But this was experiment one. If you have a Kikuyu lawn, whether you're growing it in Hawaii or Southern California or Arizona, or to all of my friends down in the Southern Hemisphere, many of you grow Kikuyu lawns, South Africa, Australia, that whole region grows a lot of Kikuyu grass. Here's my first findings when it comes to renovating in the most simplest way. This is the simplest way, in my opinion, right now, to make a Kikuyu lawn look and feel nice. Now, I understand that this is not done yet, but this is the potential right here. And this is what I'm basing it off of. If you scalp it down all the way to the dirt, give it some water, and this isn't even being fertilized. If you fertilized it, this would be even nicer in my opinion. Over here, the grass was equally as tall. Now on the mower, I set it on setting number 3, which is approximately 2 inches. And over here, you know, we got it down to probably about ½ an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch. Maybe, I don't know, maybe even lower. But over here, the mower on setting 3 is about 2 inches tall. And you see every one of these Kikuyu things is still very stemmy. And that's because the mower didn't go low enough to cut all of this brown abrasive stem off. Now in this section right here, and we're talking like about there, roughly, I cut this down to roughly 2 inches, and then I took the dethatcher over it to bring stems up, and then I continued cutting it. This is due for a mow again, but as you can see, we've got at the end of these stems, well, that one doesn't have anything, but the end of a lot of these stems, you've got some grass poking up. Look at that. There's a really stemmy, abrasive piece of grass with nice green leaves on the top. If you're standing on this barefoot or just patting it with your bare hand, it's still scratchy. It's still abrasive. It doesn't feel good. And you can pull it back, and it's just, I mean, there's just dirt everywhere. It's not thick. So although the green is starting to come back, cutting it down low, so from 12 inches down to 2, and then just kind of maintaining it kind of in that 2 to 2.5 inch range, it's still like it's starting to look a little bit better from far away, but it does not feel good at all, and it's not thick yet. That was experiment number 2. Unfortunately, I don't have video footage of me doing the cutting and dethatching on this area. Don't trust everything you see online, but you know, I don't know. Why not trust me? Ha! All right, let's come over here. This is an area that I didn't do hardly anything to. I was maintaining this at about 2.5 inches, and I was just cutting it. So again, I brought it from about 12 inches down to about 2.5, maybe 2.5 to 3, and I just kind of cut it a handful of times over a handful of weeks. And then here's the difference. So you can see, then I pulled out a dethatcher after a couple weeks, and I ran the scarifier blade over it as deep as I possibly could. And you can see I ripped out a lot of stuff, but there's just nothing good looking here yet. This is not the way to go, in my opinion. If you're going to cut it down and you want it about in that 2.5 inch range, you can't just bring it down from 12 inches or 5 inches or 4 inches, whatever it is, however tall you have it. Don't just bring it down to your ideal setting and then run the scarifier over it. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good. I don't feel like anything beneficial has happened over doing that. You really got to bring the height cut down lower than you want it, and then kind of let it grow back. Maybe run the scarifier over it when it's down on the bottom, so that you're not ripping out all of the grass. But after it's been cut down, then the scarifier blades run, and they actually score, and they actually cut the stolons, and everything starts growing back a little bit better. Here's the difference. Here's the line. This is where I did not run the scarifier, and here's where I did. So this way I ran it, this section I did not. It just looks better over here. So if you're just going to cut it lower, just cut it lower and maintain it there for a while. Now, as another option, another act of experimentation, this section right here, you can see the line, it goes like this. It kind of comes up and it comes over here. This section was also long, although it wasn't quite like 12 inches long, but it was long. And instead of bringing it down to that 2 inch range, 2.5 inch range, and instead of using the scarifier at all, this section I just brought my mower down to the lowest section. We're talking the rotary mower. I never pulled out the reel mower, and I never used the scarifier on this. But what I did do is I brought that rotary mower down to the lowest setting possible, which is approximately 1 3/8 of an inch. And I just cut and bagged. Now, as you look at it from far away, I wish the shadowing was not here. As you look at it from far away, we've got some green coming back everywhere. Now here, it's coming back much slower, and the reason for that is because it's not getting enough water over there. Another reason why I want to cut this experiment short, because I really want to start trenching into the ground and fixing the irrigation system so that I can get similar amounts of water everywhere. But this is getting water, and this is the potential for this area that's not getting enough water. All of the grass has come back really nice right here. So even though I cut it down really low with the mower, I did not score it, I didn't like run the scarifier blade over it, everything here feels pretty nice. You've got nice blades. Everything's a little bit wet because we had some drizzle overnight right now. We do have a little bit of these like abrasive stems that got cut, I don't know, a while back when I ran the mower down to the bottom. But you're gonna find that everywhere. So as you're patting the ground, or if you're walking on it with like bare feet, you're gonna find that this is really kind of abrasive because the stems were not trimmed to the ground. They were left about 1.5 inches tall. So all of these stems are thick. They're hard. Look at that one right there. That one's starting to grow green right on the top of it. So something like this, if you want to take the easy way out, you could take the mower, regular rotary mower, and bring it all the way down to the bottom, cut the thing hard, make sure to give it some water. If you put some fertilizer on it, this would happen faster. Kikuyu grass does respond very quickly and aggressively to nitrogen. So you could throw some of that down and then let the green grass grow back and bring it back up to kind of that 3-inch range or so. And then you could start maintaining it in between 2 and 3 inches, depending on your preferences. And all of those abrasive stems are down at the bottom, and you're seeing a lot of green grass on the top. Now you probably aren't going to want to walk on it barefoot very much without scarifying the lawn and scalping it down to the dirt, but it's going to be significantly nicer. I can tell this already. This area of the lawn, I'm going to call it the lazy way out. Just bring your mower down to the bottom, cut it off, and then let it grow back up to your desired length, and it's going to be okay. All right, I have no interest in maintaining the lawn like this, and that's why I'm cutting this experiment short. I have learned enough information with over the past month or so to really understand what it is I'm looking at here and how to get the desired my own desired results. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and scalp all of this lawn with my rotary mower down to the very bottom. Then I'm going to take my reel mower and bring that all the way down to the very bottom and cut everything down as low as possible. Then I'm going to run the scarifier over it, maybe not exactly on the deepest setting, but sub-grade. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit below grade and rip into it as hard as I can with the scarifier, and then bag as much material as I possibly can with my rotary mower. I don't want to like take a weed whacker and like, you know, bring it down to just straight dirt, or a tiller and bring it down to dirt, but I want to get as many of those stems off as possible so that as it starts growing back over the next month or two, I only have leaf material, or let's call it less abrasive, less thick stem material sitting on the surface. That's actually going to fare well for me in the long run, because I'm going to be overseeding this lawn in the near future after I finish the irrigation lines with turf type tall fescue. And I really want a lot of leaf material sitting above the ground, because later in the season, in early 2023, I'm going to start applying herbicides to this lawn to slowly kill off the Kikuyu grass. That's completely unrelated topic to this video, but just so that you know, in case you want to subscribe and watch video updates like that in the future, that's what's going to be happening. I don't want Kikuyu grass in the backyard. I've got it out front. If you do have a Kikuyu grass lawn and you don't want to renovate it, you don't want to remove the Kikuyu grass, this is a great way. This is what we call scalping. This is very common in the Bermuda grass community, and in the Kikuyu grass community, you should do it. A lot of people will call it verticutting. That's that scarifier blade. It's basically a slicing through the stolons that are above the ground. It makes an enormous difference. If you cut that thing all the way down to the soil, let everything grow back, and then maintain it at the appropriate length, it is literally going to feel better and look better over the long run. Make sure to follow along with this process. I'm going to be doing it all through the December and January and February timeframe before the fescue really starts taking over. If you have no idea what Kikuyu grass is, there's going to be a video linked right up here that describes exactly what it is. If you live in the United States, you can't even buy Kikuyu grass seed or sod unless you live in Southern California, Arizona, or Hawaii. The rest of the world, the rules are totally different. And in the Southern Hemisphere, all of you who are experiencing summer during December and January, you guys are growing this. Many of you are, at least. I hope you follow along.